Hello, everyone. Welcome to Homesteadhow. Carrie here, and today we have a special guest, Diane Elizabeth, who is bravely navigating a journey with ovarian cancer, and she's recently made the switch to carnivore diet. And you're also doing some other exciting things like a Christian-centered candle company and sewing and other things like that. So I've been looking forward to talking to you. How are you doing, Diane?
I'm doing great. Thank you. It's
Awesome. Would you
yeah,
mind starting out by maybe just sharing a little bit about yourself and your journey so far?
sure. Well, as far as cancer goes, I was diagnosed in 2021, and it was kind of a fluke that it was even found. I had no symptoms or anything, and I
Oh, we're
was.
freezing up a little. Can you
Oh
still
yeah,
hear me, Diane?
I hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yep, you're
Okay.
back now.
Okay. Good.
Am I okay or am I frozen right now?
You're fine.
Oh, okay, I think we're good. My looks like my internet's going really fast. I'm
Uh-oh.
sorry, it cut out right at the beginning. So I was just saying, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and your journey so far?
Sure. Well, as far as cancer goes, I was diagnosed in 2021, and it was kind of a fluke that it was found because I was doing genetic testing because my dad came up positive for the BRCA1 gene, which shows that you will probably likely have cancer, and so the rest of us blood relatives of his got tested too. And so I came up positive for BRCA1. And I decided to go ahead and get a full hysterectomy. And the testing beforehand that my OBGYN did, everything tested out normal. Everything was fine. So she okayed the surgery. We went in, and that's when she found it.
Mm.
And so I had to go on chemo very soon after that. I had another surgery following that to remove a few extra things like lymph nodes and my appendix and my omentum. And so, anyways, all that other tissue was tested too to see if there was any extra cancer lurking around. And luckily, no, it was only in the spot where she found. And so I went on the chemo journey, and it was rough, but not as rough as I thought it would be. And so I decided, well, if this ever pops up again, I'm fine with going ahead and doing chemo again. So we did just regular testing. I think it was once a month. And in April, just this past April, my CA125, the cancer marker, cancer antigen, was found to have spiked. And so the doctor that I was with wanted me to get on to chemo right away. And so I did, and it was rough. Oh, it was bad. It was a different medication than the one that I had this past time, and it was giving me. Well, the depression was really bad. The symptoms, physical symptoms, were really bad. I was sick for a while, and my energy was absolutely zapped. I could not find the energy to even get up and cook dinner for everybody. It was really rough. And so she did order a biopsy after that. And biopsies came back negative both times, 2 separate biopsies, and they both came back negative. So I put the brakes on the chemo. And said, okay, yeah, if you can't find any cancer, then if all that we're looking at is the CA125, which measures inflammation. It's not just a cancer marker. It reacts to any kind of inflammation in the body. And so if there's an injury to your body or inflammation, it's going to react. And so I said, okay, well, no, I'm not going through that chemo hell. And if we can't definitively find cancer. So we've been just doing the wait and watch kind of thing, but we did get some it's a new test called Signatera, and that actually looks for cancer cells in your bloodstream. And we did find some, and it's been, and we've gotten the CA-125 marker along with it. And so we've been watching it just kind of like, okay, there's a little bump here. Okay. And then we're watching both of them kind of rise at the same time. We're like, okay, well, it's obviously it's back. But we're very hopeful because I have a new doctor that I like. And he was perfectly fine with not putting me on chemo. He says, well, let's start with a PARP inhibitor. And we're going to see how that reacts. And I'm thinking, okay, great, sounds good. I'm going to be on this medication, and I've just started chemo. I'm sorry, carnivore, excuse me. And so we're going to watch and see how that reacts. And so far, I've only been carnivore for a little over 2 months. Things are looking really good, though. I mean, as far as everything else, lab work I got just last Thursday, some of it has come back, and the liver enzymes, the AST and the ALT, have gotten back down to normal. Beforehand, it was not normal. It was elevated. And they're back down to normal, and so are my glucose levels. And so it's all that is doing really good. I've lost 20 pounds, and my husband's lost 29. And yeah, so everything is looking really good. So the game plan is to just let this PARP inhibitor probably be on that for a couple more months. And it's not the best thing in the world. I don't feel great sometimes, but I'm very hopeful. And I do have to say, though, before I started the medication, whenever I was just carnivore, I don't think I'd ever felt better. I don't think I've ever felt better. I had more energy. I was feeling great, eating probably once, twice a day. And I don't know, I was just very hopeful and very happy. And the medication is putting a little bit of a damper on things. It's affecting my tastes. Like water sometimes tastes too metallic. And it's making me feel like whenever I was pregnant and having these aversions to certain things that just make you feel like, oh no, gosh, I can't even think about it. And so it's just something I have to struggle with, but otherwise.
Right. I had a question, if you could go back a little bit. So the genetic testing, how does that work? Do they say like your dad has this gene and therefore you have like X% chance of getting cancer? Like
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. Okay, so the BRCA1, I think there's BRCA1 and BRCA2. When my dad was first tested, so he got diagnosed with cancer a year prior to me, with prostate cancer. And he, I don't remember when exactly. He was asked to do a genetic test by his doctor, but when his doctor found out that my grandmother, my dad's mother, passed away when she was in, I think she was in her late 40s, early 50s, and from cancer. And so he said, okay, well, you need to get tested. And so they did the full gambit, full range to see what possible genetic genes that are in there, mutations that give you a more of a risk for certain types of cancer. And he came back positive for only the BRCA1 gene. And so I tested for only the BRCA1 just to see if I had it. And it came back yes. So that for men, it's not as big of a deal. It makes them it makes them more likely to develop breast cancer, and I suppose prostate cancer as well. But for women, it's much higher. It's much more likely. I want to say something like in the 70s to 80% more likely to develop breast cancer, specifically breast cancer, but also ovarian cancer. But yeah, so it was.
How was that decision when you found out? Did it take a long time? Like, so basically you had the hysterectomy as a preventative measure before you realized that cancer was in there. How was that decision made?
To do the hysterectomy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something that I kind of already knew that I wanted to do. A year prior to finding this out, I had gotten a well check done, and no, it wasn't a well check. It was a regular appointment because I was noticing that I was bleeding for a much longer time than normal. And so I was thinking I was probably going to go ahead and have a hysterectomy. And as my mom had it in her 30s, and thinking, okay, well, I'm done having children anyway. I can just go ahead and get that taken out and not even worry about it. So it was a decision that I knew that I was going to do at some point. I just didn't know when. But as soon as I found out that I was positive for BRCA1, I really didn't want to put my family through any possible cancer scares. So I thought, okay, we'll just get this done. I'm fine with that. And went ahead and talked to my OBGYN and talked to her, and she saw that I was a good candidate for it, and so we got it scheduled. And I think it came about probably at the most a month after I found out about the BRCA1 gene. So
Was there anyone else in your family, like sisters or anyone that also got tested for it after your dad tested for it?
So his blood relatives, all of his blood relatives did. My sister, I only have the one sibling. She got tested, and she's positive for BRCA1 as well. And she and her husband were talking about it, and as soon as they found out about me, they got that surgery scheduled right away. So we've also, taken some extreme measures to prevent. I've had a double mastectomy with a flat closure, and my sister has gone through that as well. Not a flat. She did reconstruction, but it's we're, I think, the only ones that have come up positive for that. My two cousins on my dad's side I think both of them are negative for any kind of gene, but my dad's brother, I think, is positive. But he's actually the one that got us started on the carnivore journey.
Oh, wow.
He's the one that was really looking into all of this and prevention and everything. And so he was talking to my dad, and they got started watching different carnivore videos on YouTube. And so that convinced my parents, and then they convinced me.
So you got a whole group of carnivores over there.
We do, yeah. So my sister has even started going carnivore as well. And my husband, I don't know about my brother-in-law, but my children, that won't be happening for a while, I think, unfortunately. But everybody else is, my parents, my sister, and my uncle. So, and all of us are doing really well on it.
Wow. So your parents are doing great on it too?
Mm-hmm. I don't know how much weight they've lost. My dad didn't have too much weight to lose to begin with, but he's doing really great. Every time they go to check for his cancer to see if anything's grown, it's still right at, not even hardly a blip on the lab work. So he's doing really, really great.
So have any of your doctors or healthcare providers, do they know you're doing carnivore, or have anyone, because you mentioned earlier inflammation. That's one of the biggest things I've noticed with carnivore is you have like no inflammation when you're doing carnivore diet. So have any of them talked to you about it, or any skepticism? Or
No. The doctor that I'm seeing right now is the doctor that I've had for as long as I've been carnivore. Do I have a cat behind me?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's Tiki.
Oh,
oh, try
careful! She's gonna Tiki's gonna get famous like Daisy, Bill's cat.
Yeah, I hope so.
I told Bill, I was like, you got to get Daisy her own little Instagram page or something. His own little Instagram.
Yes, I might have to do the same with Tiki. You think you want to be famous? Want to be famous? So, yeah. So the doctor I have currently, he's the only doctor that I've had since I've been carnivore. I had to drop the last doctor I had because she was pushing chemotherapy on me when I didn't want it. And so I went to look for another doctor, and he is really good. Actually, I asked him about other holistic measures to take. I didn't mention carnivore. I mentioned like Ivermectin. And he said that he's open to more holistic ways of treating cancer, but he admitted to not being very knowledgeable about anything other than the standard protocol. So next time I see him, though, I will probably be, I will actually tell him that I'm on the carnivore diet, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be perfectly fine with it. So I don't see why he wouldn't be.
Has there been anyone else, like friends or family, or anyone else near you that concerned with you going on carnivore or anything like that?
No, since my family were the ones that encouraged me, everything has been very easy to transition. It's actually funny. They're actually pretty used to me making decisions like this, alternative diet decisions, because back in, I think it was like 2015, my husband and I went vegan for a year.
How did that go?
That did not go as well as I wanted it to. I gained weight, and I felt bloated constantly. And it was hard to travel. Couldn't really find many places to stop to eat. I remember we did one big trip to Arizona, and we were looking high and low for vegan restaurants. And it's easier to travel whenever you're carnivore. You bring a cooler and stay at an Airbnb and go grocery shopping. And that worked out so well for us whenever we did our little trip just a couple months ago. But yeah, vegan didn't work out so great.
How was it starting? So you said you've been doing carnivore about 2 months or so. How was it starting out on carnivore? Was it hard to transition into it, or?
Let's see. I don't think so. It was a pretty easy transition. We have a nice, thanks to 2020, we all bought, bigger freezers, I think. Most of us did. And so we had a nice chest freezer. And so we just went to Costco and said, okay, all the meat section. Okay, we want this and this and this. Let's just store it, and then we're good for a month. And the only thing is, I really wish that the kids would be more into this, but it's kind of hard because my oldest is autistic, and so he's extremely picky. Trying to get him away from his safe foods is just like even approaching the subject matter is iffy sometimes.
Right.
So,
did you have any problems adapting or switching over into ketosis?
No. The keto flu that people mention, I didn't really have that kind of symptom. I had some bathroom issues, but that's actually over and done. So we're just, I think it probably took most of this time to actually get over stomach problems, but it wasn't painful, and it wasn't that, debilitating. So the transition has actually been pretty easy. And as far as cravings went, before I started on my medication, everything went actually pretty well. I remember, I think it was yesterday, your video that you mentioned, if you have a craving, have some bacon. That's actually something that I had done before. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of feeling like I want something sweet. I'll just have some bacon. I'll just make some bacon real quick. And actually that helps. But before I started on the medication, I wasn't really having any cravings other than for a really good char on a piece of steak. That was my craving. And the medication has unfortunately I've been having cravings like for sweets and carbs, and something that I think if I were to actually bite into it, it would probably taste horrible because of the alterations to my taste buds right now that the medicine's done. But right now I'm working through it and the bacon is still helping. Having a really good steak for something to look forward to at the end of the day is really helping, and staying hydrated. Yes. Of course. So unfortunately, I've been having those cramps because I've recently started training I've been wanting to get back into running half marathons, and
wow.
I think the more projects I have, the better. That keeps my mind on things that aren't so bad.
Wow, you're amazing. That's crazy. I was just looking. We got to shout out your YouTube channel. I got a couple. Okay. I've got more questions still, but everyone's got to check out, because one of your videos on there, I was just reading that, and you got Tiki on there with you, training for a half marathon.
I've got 2 orange I got 2 orange cats. I've got Julius and Tiki.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so Diane has 62 subscribers. Everyone go subscribe to her channel. I've already done it. You got some great thumbnails too, Diane. You're doing a
Thank
good
you.
job.
Thank
That's really
you.
cool. That's an area I need to work on more. But man, that's exciting. So you're training for a half marathon. So is part of it you're trying to keep busy, but do you feel like I guess it's such a hard question because because of the journey you're going through and medication and things changing around, but a lot of people when they're on like month 2 of carnivore, they start getting more energy. Are you feeling any of that?
Hmm. Yeah, especially right before I started my medicine. I've only been on my medication for a little over 2 weeks. Right before I started that medication, oh man, so much energy, so
Mm,
much inspiration. I would just think about going out for a walk and I'd get excited. And I am actually in the middle of making a video. I'm filming myself for a full week of my first week back into training. And it's started rough because I was low on electrolytes. And so everything's cramping. And
mm.
so it'll be a journey. It'll be a
So-
journey, but one I'm looking forward to.
Right. And you're putting all that on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool. That's so inspirational. Everyone got to go subscribe. I got a link in the description below too. It's Diane Elizabeth 7683.
And I will probably be changing the name because I don't like those numerals behind my name.
But if you want, just click the link and you'll go right there. So I had one follow-up question from before. I think you mentioned you had a pulmonary embolism.
I
How did
did.
that go?
That was scary. So it's one of the unfortunate side effects of chemotherapy is blood clots.
Mm,
And it was on it was the halfway mark. I was getting 6 treatments of chemotherapy. After the 3rd one, my doctor wanted me to get a CT done. And so we did from the chest to the hips. And in that CT, the radiologist found a couple little clots in one of my blood vessels in my lungs and notified my doctor. And she called me in near hysterics. Get to the hospital right now. I need you to go to check yourself into the emergency room.
wow.
Oh man. That was scary. That was really scary. I was trying to calm myself down long enough to come in here and tell my husband, who was at his computer, I need you to take me to the hospital. I have a pulmonary embolism. And so we got down there and I'm in tears and thinking, okay, am I going to be doing anything to make this thing shake loose? And am I going to have a stroke tonight? You know, what's going to happen? And so we went to the hospital that I work at and got into the ED, and they tested my blood. They looked at the image, and throughout this entire time, I hadn't been talked to yet. And I'm sitting there 5 hours in and still haven't heard anything. And so I call my mom, who at the time hadn't retired yet, and she worked there as a nurse. And so she's calling and saying, my daughter's there. What's going on? She hasn't heard anything. So the doctor finally came in, and she was calming me down, and she said, these are not bad. Actually, the blood clots are extremely small. We're going to be able to dissolve them with some Lovenox. You'll have to give yourself the shots. And I thought, okay, well, I've given 100 million shots before. I'm sure I'll be fine giving them to myself. And actually, that was the worst part of that whole thing was giving myself shots.
Mm.
That was hard. So after a while, after a couple of months, because I had to do this for like, oh man, I want to say a couple of months worth every day. I had to give myself a Lovenox shot in the stomach. And after a while, I would just call my mom, can you come over and give me my shot?
Mhm. Oh man, you poor thing! All the stuff you've had to gone through. That really touches me when you're talking about that. My daughter Lily had 2 blood clots. She had
Yes.
open heart surgery, and then she was on some medication, and she got 2 blood clots when she was 15.
Yeah.
And I can totally feel for you because it was the same panic and scare and fear. She ended up taking a helicopter ride, but she had it pretty bad where she passed out at home and her face was purple, her lips were purple, her face was white, and she was really close to not making it. And then the same thing that you mentioned. They trained us on an orange how to do shots because we've never done that before. I was joking around. I'm like, I'm not trained to give someone a shot. I don't know what I'm doing. So did you say you have previous like healthcare experience? You've done shots before?
Yes. Well, I'm about to let my license go, but I am an LVN,
Oh,
and
okay.
I've since 2006.
Wow.
And the reason why I'm letting my license go is because I've been working as a heart monitor for the last 9 years, and I haven't been working on the floor or at a doctor's office for quite some time, and I don't have any desire to go back.
Mm.
And I'm just heart monitoring 3 nights a week. And so I haven't lost any of my skills, just don't want to do it anymore. So I'm letting it go.
Right. So you had to, for a couple months, you had to give yourself the shots, and then the clots just eventually dissolve and go away, and you don't need any other surgery or anything like that?
Right. The doctor, there is a medical oncologist that oversaw the blood clot aspect of my treatment, and he put me on a blood thinner after I was finished with the Lovenox, and I think it was a good solid 3 months that I was having to do that. But afterwards, he wanted me to take a pill, and I've been on that same pill ever since.
Mm.
So, but
Wow.
luckily, the oncologist I have right now wants to reduce it, so things are getting improved.
Right. Yeah, it's such a scary thing because it's like you said, you're scared you're gonna knock it free or something, and you always hear stories of people with the PE, pulmonary embolism, breaking out of the lungs, and that could be it like instantly. So
Hmm.
wow. Well, I'm so glad you got through that.
Yeah, me too. And that's one of the things why I don't want to go back on chemo if I can possibly help it. So
Right.
who knows what else could happen?
So the blood clot they think was from the chemo or the
Yeah,
med?
my doctor said it was absolute. They actually looked for other causes, and the lab work that was done on me was found everything is perfectly normal. The only thing that could have possibly given me that blood clot was the chemotherapy. So
And
that's why I'm trying very hard to avoid it, because
no,
who knows
you
what
had
else.
the first chemotherapy that wasn't as bad, and then I think you said you stopped for a while, and then you did the second. So was it the second one you did that was the rougher one?
Yeah.
Oh,
That was whenever we were seeing a recurrence, and that it was different medications, number one, tailored specifically for ovarian cancer. And then they took one of the medications that was being infused, and they wanted to have me come back the next week for that one more infusion. So a group of 3 medications to be infused on one day, and then the week later you're getting one of those again. And my energy was completely zapped. I had no energy for anything, and I absolutely felt horrible because, as you know, being married, there's certain responsibilities that you take. And if you are out, your partner has to fill in the void. And so I absolutely hated that, to have everything dump on to my husband. And so there's the guilt, there's the energy level sinking down to nothing, and then the guilt from not being there for my family, and then the taste was completely different. Again, I couldn't hardly drink water because it was like drinking metal. It was, and then I broke out the second day that I got the chemo. It broke me out in my face so bad. It was extremely painful. And what I really hated was that my parents were celebrating their 50th anniversary like a few days later, and I had to face relatives and friends that I haven't seen in years, and with this crazy, painful looking breakout on my face. And so it was just horrible. And then the depression, it was, it's not something I'm looking forward to having to go through again.
Right. Wow.
But unfortunately, I will. If the numbers keep going up, I will. But in conjunction with Carnivore Diet. So.
That's a heck of a story. I totally feel for you. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. And then to have the blood clots on top of it, and then the depression, and then everything else.
Yeah.
And on top of all of it, you're ready to do a marathon, and you've decided you're going to share your inspirational story on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
What was the thought behind that? Aren't you like, I got enough on my plate, I'm not going to do a YouTube too?
Well, that thought has occurred to me, but I realized that there's nobody else out there that's doing this. And I'm one of probably thousands that are going through this. There's thousands of other women out there that are going through this. And I remember seeing this one poor, sweet mom at my previous doctor's office. She had just found out, and she was sobbing. And my heart really went out to her, because this was my second time around, and this was her just finding out. And so there's thousands of us out there, and I don't see anything on YouTube that is hopeful. It's mostly medical updates, and those can be depressing, no matter who you are. And so I thought, well, we know that stress hormones are debilitating for our bodies, and so I'm trying to look for anything that keeps me as low stress as possible. That's one of the reasons why I'm letting my nurse's license go, is because I'm not planning on doing that again. I'm keeping my stress level low. I'm going to do the things that I enjoy. I'm going to be getting back more into sewing. I see a sewing machine back there. I'm going to be working on this candle company that I'm hoping to start. And I want to get back into running and doing a half marathon, because I need hope. I need to do things that lower my stress level, and I need to just find happiness in the small things. And it doesn't hurt if you're Christian, and you can rely on God to help you out through every little matter. And which I am, and I do.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I love that. It's obviously easier for me to say than for you, but I love that quote that God will never give you more than you can handle in one day. Um, I don't know. It sounds like you've had you've had more than
He
you can
trusts
handle.
me too much.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
He has a little too much faith in me, I think.
Yeah. Do you have anyone that you're able to look for inspiration or hope or talk to besides God? I mean, like anyone else that's been in your situation?
No, not really. I don't have any friends that are going through anything like this. Um, I don't really know of anybody that's going through this, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start YouTube is because maybe I can be that for somebody else who's having to go through this hell.
Right. Yeah, or maybe it's a way to get out there and find other people that maybe are going through it too.
Here's hoping. Yeah,
Yeah. If I can help you with that in any way, I'd love to because it's been amazing. Like you probably heard Bill's story, but the community reaching
love that
out.
story.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good groups out there for carnivore. A lot of it's for people struggling with carnivore, but there's people in there with various different ailments. It's not just because they're trying to lose weight, they have other things they're trying to overcome. You think with all of these different folks out there, hopefully some of them are listening. Maybe they know some other people that have been in similar situation to you or are currently right now uh,
Yeah,
that could talk with you more.
that'd be great. I'm open to anybody who wants to reach out who's going through this and they need a sounding board. I need one too sometimes.
Yeah. Have you
Mm.
you mentioned like the holistic approach and doing carnivore. Have you explored anything else in that regard in terms of your cancer and treatment? Like I know fasting people talk about often, but I really don't know that much about any of that. But have you looked into?
Fortunately, I don't either. But the one avenue that I've looked into some is ivermectin.
Mhm.
And I actually did take it for a couple of weeks before I started on the medication. I asked my doctor what he thought about it, and that's when he told me, he said he's not opposed to anything like that, but he just doesn't know much about it, and so he can't safely say that it would be okay to take that along with the PARP inhibitor that I'm on, and he doesn't know what it could possibly do to anything like my liver or anything. So that's why I went ahead and stopped the ivermectin. And but I actually I remember going on to Google Scholar. That's a really great place if you want to find any kind of study. Is to go into Google and search Google Scholar, and that'll take you to a completely different Google where you can actually find scientific research that has been done on any topic you want. And so I looked that up in particular on ivermectin to help treat cancer. And there were actually some things, there's been some very hopeful findings about how it has helped in conjunction with other standard cancer treatments. And so there's not a lot out there, but it all looks pretty good.
I wish there was more. I think unfortunately in 2020 there was a lot of negative press for that. And
Mm-hmm.
from what I understand of it, that's like one of the most used drugs across the world, and it has one of the best safety profiles of any. But they've kind
Yeah.
of, I
And
know,
we use
like,
it in our hospital, actually.
yeah,
Yes, we do. One of the doctors there, that's his go-to is he puts his patients on it, and um, he was very open to that as soon as he found out about it in 2020.
yeah, wow. Well, look, we have a couple questions here.
Okay.
And is it your birthday today?
Yes, it is. 46. And happy
Happy
birthday to you too.
birthday. That's right. You mentioned that in the email. I was like, are you sure you want to do this on your birthday?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a great birthday present to be here and talking with you. I love it. It's great.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a happy birthday. And everyone, give Diane a happy birthday. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. We're gonna check back there. There's over 200 people on here right now that can go subscribe and get her up there.
Yes, please do.
Do yourself a favor and subscribe, because it's amazing what you're doing. Ready, practicing to run a marathon and everything, and sharing that journey. It sure is something.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of failures. You're going to see a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
So it'll be a journey. For
Yes.
sure.
So it looks like we have a couple new members. Thank you, Shelly Franklin, for becoming a YouTube member, and the Carnivore Boss. Again, any money we get from memberships goes right to our Carnivore Diet documentary, so we really appreciate that. Tracy had a question. Diane, have you been following Thomas Seyfried, the cancer doctor?
No, that's a new name. I have not heard of him before. Is this a YouTube? Is this a YouTuber?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That one I'm not familiar with either. Let me take a quick, I don't want to go off this page here. I'm going to take a quick look here. Maybe I can pull it up. Well, I Googled it. It brings up a professor from Boston College. Interesting. Yeah, he does some cancer stuff. Maybe something worth looking into a little closer, or
I will.
Tracy, give us a little more info if you can.
Yes, I will. I look up everything that is new that could possibly help me. If I haven't heard of it before, I'll look into it.
Right. Someone was saying earlier, this is one thing that's so frustrating with cancer. And again, of course, I'm not a doctor. I don't even know I don't really know that much about cancer, but some people are like, well, maybe you're getting cancer from the environment or from food you're eating, or in your case, it seems like it was all genetic. Is that the case with yours, or do you have any thoughts on that at all?
I think genetics helped, but I think it was brought about by, it was probably growing more due to the fact that I was overweight, which causes inflammation. And I was doing the standard American diet, and was, drinking at the time, not a lot, but, every now and then my husband and I will have a glass of whiskey on the back porch after the kids go to bed. And it was, I think, just a whole bunch of factors that just led to that. So there's nothing I can do about genetics, but I can adjust my diet, and I can also stop the having to drink alcohol, because it turns into sugar, and sugar just doesn't do anything but cause irritation and inflammation in a body. And so, what kills me though is that I knew all this, and I didn't care that much. I was overweight, but I was like, so what? And well, being overweight does not do you any favors. And if anything, it was probably one of the things that furthered my cancer along. So losing weight is so great. Losing all of this weight, it's just pouring off. And not as much as my husband, lucky duck. He's down 9 pounds more than me, and doing it but actually probably he hasn't been doing it as hardcore as me. And
it's not fair. I give you guys full credit, because it is easier for men. I'm willing to admit it. It's a lot easier for everyone's different, but it's easier for men for sure.
Sure is.
But you look great. You look like you have the carnivore glow despite everything you're going through. You look like, I always see that with people, you can just kind of see it on their face. It's like a healthy kind of look, and despite everything you're going through, it's shining through.
Thank you. I tell you what, it has definitely helped improve how I feel and look. Definitely. Just in the last couple months, actually just a little bit longer than a couple months.
One Hope for All said, I got the link from the live chat. I went to the description. It's not there. I checked a few times. I am positive that link is there, but I want to check back at Diane's channel to see how many subscribers we've got now. So let me look at this real quick here. I want to make sure we get your link in there. Yeah, so the link is right here. Follow Diane. You click on this one, and it'll open in a new tab. So it's definitely there, and I put it in the chat too. But let's see here real quick. Sorry, just 1 second. So when we checked before, you were at 62. It's always fun looking. Hopefully we got it up there a little bit. Diane.
Here's hoping. Well, I tell you what, a little bit of an incentive. If I can get up to 1,000 subscribers, my husband says we can go camera shopping.
Oh, nice.
It'll be even better than the iPhone picture that I have on there.
We got to get you there. You deserve to be there because you're doing something amazing, and your thumbnails are awesome. Your videos are inspiring. The fact that you're preparing to do a marathon and training for it is so cool. All right, I'm going to refresh on this. Let's see. It was at 62. I'm hitting refresh now. Hey, you're at over 100 now, 108. That's
great. Almost double.
I think we touched on this, but if you can, we'd love to have you. It's really filling up, but the 24-hour live stream we're doing September 16th.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I will. I'll try to send you some info. It's tricky because the first day it's really booked up. Dr. Baker just booked. And so Dr. Ovadia is going to be there. I just got his book, the heart surgeon carnivore guy.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'll follow up with that, and we'll definitely shout you out on there. And hopefully we can get you up to 1,000 by that point.
That'd be great. I'd love to go camera shopping.
Yes. Yeah. I love camera shopping too, by the way. So
yeah.
So I geek out on the camera stuff and equipment and things like that.
And all the different lenses and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, here's a couple other questions here. Someone said, why does one feel nauseous? Is it because of the fat?
From the carnivore or?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're asking you in particular or carnivore in general.
Well, it could be the cut. I've heard that, like, if you're talking about after having a certain cut of meat, I've heard that if you have the what is it, short ribs? I'm a steak and butter gal went over this at one point, and she was talking about how the beef ribs that she was having, if she got them cut really thin, it was fine. But if it was a thicker cut of the short ribs, it would make her feel nauseated. So I don't know if that could be.
I think you're onto something there. I had it happen to me once doing carnivore. I had some Wagyu ground beef, and I didn't realize how fatty it was. It was delicious, and I ate way too much. Got real nauseous. So I think for some people, getting a little bit too much fat too quick. The other thing that got me early on carnivore was you'd eat a really fatty meal and then drink a whole bunch of water right around the same time. That would cause stomach issues for me too. So I learned to not drink a whole bunch of water while I'm eating, give it a little time to digest.
Mm-hmm. And eating slower for me, and not as much.
Yeah.
And luckily, whenever you're having so much meat that's high in fat, that you are satiated for so much longer. And so I would have like 4 ounces of whatever cut, and I'm fine and don't really need anything. After maybe a few hours, I'll have a couple pieces of bacon maybe. But I think that has helped to kind of slow down. But I think that comes with time also. At the beginning, 3 meals a day is probably what I've heard, at least, that you need to do, and then you work up to, eating less because you don't need as much.
Yeah. All right. Crypto Carnivore said many in our communicate are advocates or benefits of fasting, with some doctors saying once you get a few days of fasting, then your body feeds off damaged cancer cells. Have you researched this?
Not really. I have heard that fasting, I know your body burns through whatever. This is my knowledge from before I was carnivore. Was I knew that whenever you fasted, your body burns off whatever carbohydrates are in your system first before going into your other cells like fat cells. So I didn't know anything about bodies feeding off of cancer cells while fasting, but I'm sure that's true. And I would have to find some studies that talk about this. But if that's true, then I'll be fasting quite a bit more.
Yeah, I think there's another comment that has some more follow up on that. The doctor they were talking about before. Let's see here. Oh, well, kind of related. Monica said, Diane, are you familiar with Jason Fung's book, The Cancer Code? It's helpful and explains the role diet plays in cancer.
No, another new name for me. The things that I researched beforehand were very minimal, only because I think at the time that I had learned about all this, it was kind of depressing, going into it and researching all this new stuff. I think I was afraid I was going to give myself some false hope, researching different things. There's, if Jason Fung's cancer code, if this is anything about being carnivore, then I'm sure it's really good.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, here's one follow up. They said I've watched some of Jason Fung. He's got some really good stuff. He's on YouTube as well. They said
Okay.
he's awesome and he talks about fasting. He's the father of fasting research. So I guess a little follow up on that one.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I'll look him up then.
yeah. Someone asked, is your doctor giving you hormone therapy?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope. That wasn't really mentioned. The doctor who gave me my hysterectomy gave me the option, and I thought, no, I'm okay without it. And because I didn't really know much about hormone therapy and what it could possibly do, so I opted out, and I went through menopause real fast, and it was just kind of crazy, but just got through it.
Someone else said, Marla said, I hear you, Diane. I can't find anyone who are fighting cancer the way I am.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have my YouTube channel out there, so that if anybody is going through cancer, in particular ovarian, but any other kind of cancer, because cancer is hard on everybody, and it doesn't matter which kind of cancer you are suffering from. It's scary either way. And so I thought, well, if I'm out there on YouTube, maybe somebody could, gain some encouragement, or maybe, want to do something for themselves, like maybe start into running or sewing or whatever that makes them happy. And so that they can kind of find a little glimmer of hope and happiness, and through the hard parts.
Right. Lots of comments coming through. So, wow, it's already been an hour. This just kind of flew by. Do you have a little more time, Diane?
Sure.
Okay, there's a couple more questions here. And a comment. Carnivore Kip says, "What's up, carnivores?" Hey, Carnivore Kip. I don't know if you watch him or not. He's down 100 pounds. I just watched his video today where he was.
I do watch him.
Running. He was running between 3 light poles. It was really cool. He's an inspiration too.
Yeah, he's up in Dallas, right?
No, I think he's in Alabama. I could be wrong.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
second guessing. I might be wrong. Well, he'll speak up in the comments.
So I remember there was somebody else that you were talking with who was in Dallas. I was like, oh, cool. I'm in Austin.
Yeah, I know Shane and Amy, the blind couple carnivores. They're in
Yes.
Texas, maybe near you, closer.
Right. And I remember they said that they met at the school for the deaf and blind. Actually ran a 5K there.
Wow, what a small world.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
They're the best.
He
is so funny. Yeah. Someone said, "Diane, what an amazing story you have."
Well, thank you.
And Karen is awesome. I'm excited for you to get your YouTube channel going too, Diane, because the carnivore community is amazing. Karen's amazing. She's always leaving great comments. Happy birthday, Diane. Beautiful lady.
Thank you, Karen. Right back at you.
Karen's the best. Fad Gadget said, "My partner was diagnosed with breast cancer caused by too much estrogen, probably caused by a certain birth control pill side effect of taking it for years."
I wish I hadn't. I hate birth control. I really wish I hadn't been on that. And, I wish I had just been not so lazy and learned how to do NFP.
It's another touchy situation for me too. My daughter that had the blood clots.
Yeah.
She was 15. She had just horrible menstrual cycles for years and years and years. Like at this point now, she's 18, and I think she has endometriosis. But back at that time, they said, "Well, we can put her on birth control pills." And I'm like, "Are you insane? She's like 13 years old. There's no way." And they're like, "It's not for reproductive issues. Many girls are going on these birth control pills now because they're getting their periods younger and younger, and they're worse and worse." And it was the most stupid decision her mom and I ever made. But we're like, "Okay, well, you're the doctor. We believe you. This is what's going to happen." And she ended up getting blood clots. And they told us too, there's like a tiny chance she could get a blood clot, but almost no one does. It should just be fine. Well, like I said, she got the 2 blood clots. And in retrospect, I guess it's a somewhat happy ending to a really depressing story, but Lily's doing carnivore with me and just thriving. And like I said, they thought she had endometriosis, and all of those symptoms she's had for years, just horrible symptoms every month, all gone. And it's like, if she would have just been eating properly the whole time leading up to this, she wouldn't have had those issues. So that's one of the big sections in the documentary is women's health and reproductive health. Because I've heard it on both ends too. We had Anita from Ketogenic Woman on before, and she was talking about going through menopause, but she was on carnivore when she was doing it. And she said all of her peers and friends and people her age, they were taking all this medication and all these symptoms for menopause. And she's like, for her, it was like nothing. It was just normal. And she attributed it to eating proper human diet kind of thing. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And it's just from, lack of knowledge. And, we as parents, we kick ourselves because of, oh man, if only I had gotten, like for me, I wish I had gotten my son started on a healthier diet, then maybe his autism symptoms wouldn't be so bad. Maybe he would be able to think clearer. And, it's just parental guilt.
Yeah. It's unneeded too, because I feel it too, and I can tell you do too, but it's like there's nothing we could have known or done differently. The same thing too, like before carnivore years ago, when you'd hear people on TV say, if someone's overweight, They would blame them. Well, they decided to eat the Twinkie. They decided to eat this. I used to kind of not agree with it, but kind of like, oh yeah, well, they're deciding to eat it. But now it's like when you're a child and you're giving the child sugar its entire life, and I'm not shaming anyone because I did it to my kids, and it's
Same.
just yeah, it just happens. It was normal. There's like nothing wrong with this sort of thing. How can you blame the child if they end up being overweight and addicted to sugar, which is basically an addictive drug that we're giving kids? It's just crazy that we're doing it. I'm really hoping in like 20, 30 years from now, we look back and be like, what were we doing? Stop with the sugar already. Getting kids
Right.
hooked on it from a young age is just nuts.
Yeah, hooked on it from day one. I
Yeah.
mean, literally day one, because I wasn't able to produce milk like I wanted. And so I had to start my son on formula,
Yeah.
and which has sugar.
Yep. Same with us because Jen had triplets. Couldn't keep up.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's
yep.
right.
Formula too, just from the beginning. And it's so sad now too, because well, for that reason too, but then when the kids are younger, they're giving them like apple juice and just sugary drinks and all of this stuff. And these kids are never gonna know what it's like to be just a natural human until we change things with the documentary on the
That's right.
positive side.
That's
Until we
right.
change things. Get the word out because but like I said, you can't blame you can't feel bad as a parent because we were brought up that way. I was the same way. You go to grandma's house and she rewards you with candy and a cookie and you go trick or treating and it's just
Yeah.
it's gotta not be normal anymore. It shouldn't be normal anymore. Hopefully we'll
Yeah.
change things.
Well, it's all this stuff that we've been told from such an early age, like fat is the enemy. And so in the 80s, you remember whenever they came out with fat free this and that. And
Yes.
so mom would come home with, fat free cheese singles and Snackwell cookies,
Yeah.
you know?
I remember all of that. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
been on so many diets. You too. It's like get the low fat dressing and they take the fat out
Hmm.
of it and it's got sugar in it. So it's just
And seed
like what
oil.
better way could you get everyone addicted to sugar? And then at the same time they were telling us if you eat meat, you're going to clog your arteries. You're going to have a heart attack. That's the best way to sell a ton of sugar is just scare people away and demonize meat. Because
Yeah.
what's left? Like
And lard, I okay, back whenever I was making pies in 2020, because this is what I was doing at the time for 2020. I was making pies, selling them at farmers markets, and um, I was making some really great pies. And so I was looking into one recipe using lard, and I was like, I'll just use butter. But I went ahead and got some lard, and it worked out fine. But that lard sat in the fridge for I don't know how long. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to fry some chicken. And I was looking it up on YouTube. This is actually like last week, and looking up for a recipe without breading. And so I went ahead and fried some chicken in the lard that I had. And actually, I bought some more lard. And um, one of the comments in this guy's YouTube was saying how, yeah, eventually lard killed my grandmother who had only cooked in lard. Eventually, she died at the age of 96. The lard finally got her. It's like, I hope I live to 96.
right.
I'm just going to start cooking in animal fat and all that stuff that's natural, and it's what our grandparents did, and back in the 40s and 50s, and before margarine, and
Yes. You
before
said,
we got everything backwards.
yeah. You said the word though that always perks my ears up. Natural. That's my biggest thing I've learned on carnivore is just do what's natural. Eat the natural things. These weird processed concoctions where you can't pronounce the ingredients in the thing are not natural. It's like
No.
as a human species, we've gotten so far away from natural, and it's like normal, but it really is crazy some of the things that we've been eating.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the crazy, I don't know if you know anything about mukbangs on YouTube, or they eat as much as they can with any kind of crazy kind of food on there. You're seeing everything in very unnatural colors, like blue, dyed, whatever, and all these unnatural colors, and large amounts of carbs and everything. It's kind of crazy. There's actually this one mukbanger on YouTube who is turning carnivore, and I forget her name. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. But she, I think she started doing carnivore. I'm really pulling for her. I don't follow her or anything, but I just noticed that at one point. It was just one of those things that YouTube thinks you need to see.
Yeah. It's promising. So I'm trying not to be so discouraging with all of the talk, but I'm seeing more and more carnivores, and I think there's so many of them that they're. It's not worth talking about it because you got to defend yourself to some people. So some people
Some
don't.
people.
I do all the time. See my new shirt?
I only made ask me why. Yes,
I'm
yes.
doing
Such a
a.
great
We're
shirt.
gonna.
I love that conversation that it started with that guy on the bus. That was
Oh
great.
yeah, that was where it kind of started. I was like, I should make a shirt for this. And actually, let me see. Oh, I don't have them in front of me here, but someone suggested uh, doing like a little business card, not a business card, but just a thing to say, okay, you want to start carnivore? Watch Dr. Barry's video. This one, watch Dr. Chafee's video. This one. So I did that. I have like 30 of them. It's
Oh,
in my
nice.
wallet over there. But yeah, I was gonna.
Idea.
Yeah, when Emma and I went to Alaska, we talked to that gentleman, and then I talked to another guy in the airport. And then when we got back, we were on this camping trip, and the guy driving the shuttle, I was like, "This is the icebreaker." It's so stupid, but like when I was in Chicago, I'm like, "Are there any good steaks around here?" Like I
I
hear
love that
Chicago's got good
icebreaker
steaks.
because yeah,
He's like, "Yeah, I
it
think you're
also,
right."
of
Yeah,
course he wants to talk about, oh yeah, great steaks here in Chicago, and then it led to that
yep.
conversation, and I loved how he was just looking so interested, and
Yeah. Well, it was sad too because his dad had died from type
yeah,
2 diabetes. So, and he was struggling with similar things and worried about him for himself. And yeah, but I'm running into more and more carnivores. So on the good news side of things, and at the movie theater here, wow, it's like every weekend there's several of them, like
oh,
four or
that's
five.
good.
Yeah.
I was wondering actually at your theater, does anybody have did they bring carnivore snacks to go with the movie?
I've had people bring in like their own water and stuff, and normally like the former owner would be like, "You can't bring anything in," but I'm like, "Whatever, go right ahead." We have water too, but they'll bring in like their own seltzer water or whatever.
Hmm.
But we just added, so we have grass-fed beef sticks that are pretty clean, but they're not quite
Oh, good.
carnivore. They're like one carb, and we've sold a lot of those. We actually have a section of candy and then this section, and I get it. People were yelling at me like, "You're a hypocrite. Why are you still selling popcorn and candy?" My thing is, we will go out of
There's
business.
still people that aren't gonna want
Right.
a
My thing
carnivore.
is, it's not my job to tell them how to eat. Like I I'll put the example out there and I hope that they switch over, but we offer those things still because frankly we would go out of business. Frankly, it's not my job to tell people how to eat. And then also we have a whole section of grass-fed beef that they could buy. And it's been going too, which is really cool. And we just added a whole bunch of pork rinds, and they're just pork
Excellent.
rinds, and they're carnivore friendly. There's no seasonings. It's just pork rinds and salt. So
That's great. Yeah, that's my go-to snack. I'm sorry, my
yeah,
cat's trying to leave the room. Okay, he
no.
got the door. He can open and close the door himself.
Oh wow,
he's,
nice.
he's
That's
a
what
nut.
sounds like a cool cat. Bill's cat Daisy. I was just telling someone he is living the life. He has a dog. He has a cat door. It's
Hmm.
Daisy, but it's a boy. Just for people think I'm mistaking it,
Yes.
it's a boy. Long story, but it has a door and it goes in and out. And around Bill's whole little house, there's shelves all around it for the cat to run around.
Oh, nice.
The cat is just living the life. Bill loves that cat so much. It's really cool.
It is. It's really cute. And I have 3 dogs and 2 cats, and so they all just they're wherever they want to be at the time.
Yeah. Sounds like us. We have 2 dogs and 2 cats and 3 goats and chickens.
Yes,
But
that's
yeah.
awesome. Yep.
Well,
Here's
someone
hoping
else
eventually I can homestead too. I'd love to have
yeah.
a cow or two.
Just subscribe to Diane. Awesome. Everyone
Thank
go
you.
subscribe. Diane Elizabeth, it's in the description. Just click on it, click subscribe, and then you can thank me later because she's got some great content up there. Susan
Please
Hanson, she said, I agree with you. Oh, she's commenting to someone else. God helps us through every trial and circumstance.
exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to know where I'd be without my faith.
Yeah. Pat Vaughn said one other recommendation, Dr. Annette Bosworth's book, Any Way You Can, is a book she wrote about keto and fasting and her mom's cancer.
That lady I have heard of. My parents have that book. And that is actually a really good book that I have borrowed and not cracked open yet.
Nice.
But yes, I remember that story about her mother and how she treated her mother's cancer with the carnivore diet.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been hearing more, and that's what this comment alludes to. I wondered if cancer was affected by carnivore. I had heard for a while that cancer feeds on sugars but not fat. Wondered what you have seen proved out in your life.
Proved out? Nothing yet. I've only been on carnivore for a little over 2 months, so there's no way to judge yet how it's going to affect me. I have had some recent lab work done, and it shows that my cancer antigen is still going up, but I've only been taking the medication for a couple of weeks, and I've only been carnivore for 2.5 months. So I think it just needs time. I think it just needs time to work. My husband looked into some studies on the PARP inhibitor that I'm on, and from what he found, just from a couple of small studies that he found, is that it needs a few months to really show some efficacy.
Just so I understand, the PARP inhibitor, that's like a cancer medication, is that right?
It is. It's specific to ovarian cancer, I believe. I don't know how effective it is for anything else, but from what I know about it, it inhibits some sort of growth aspect of the cancer cells. It'll slow things down, or it stops, or sometimes in some cases reverses things. So here's hoping that it reverses everything, but I haven't given it enough time yet to really show much of anything.
Right.
So I'm still hopeful. The cancer antigen is going up, but I'm still hopeful. We haven't given it enough time yet. Same for the carnivore diet. I've only been doing this a couple months. Let's see how things are in 6 months or a year, and then
Right.
we might see more about how the diet has affected the cancer.
Absolutely. One more from Marla. She said, fasting is amazing for cancer. I only had 20 kilos extra body weight, so it was not sustainable for me, but fasting did shrink the cancer until I had to eat more.
Okay. Well, that's great. At 20 kilos, that's a significant amount. That's about, say, what is that? 40-ish pounds? There's
Yeah, I gotta Google that.
a kilo to a pound is 2.2.
44, yep.
Yeah.
All
So
right. I think we got through all the questions here. Hopefully I didn't miss any. Lots of just great comments. Diane, I'll be praying for you. Diane, you're inspirational.
and
Oh,
subscribe. I want to go camera shopping, so please subscribe and share. Oh, there's my husband.
hey, Steven, nice to meet you. Diane's husband here. As a cancer treatment, PARP inhibitors stop the PARP from doing its repair work in cancer cells, and the cell dies.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what it's supposed to do. Oh, and there's me as a brunette. Right behind his shoulder.
Awesome. Hey, we got to check in one more time. I think we got all the questions. Let's see how many subscribers we've got. So you were at 108 before. Just got to peek one more time. This is always fun. So you're at 108. We'll hit refresh here. Hey, 160.
160. Alrighty.
Nice. So you're posting regularly too. You did one 12 days ago, one 4 days ago.
I am not doing as often as I'd like to, but they're still getting out there, and I have one that I just need to wrap up and then edit, and then I'll get into the next one, which is going to be on Saturday. I'm going to be this will be a fun one I think you might enjoy too, because it's talking with a local high school student who is part of an FFA program where he raises cattle, and he's also part of a meat processing um, uh, program at his school. And the high school actually sells the meat that the students process.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to be interviewing him and his brother and his dad, and meeting his cows, and it's great. It's something that I didn't know about a couple of weeks ago, that you could actually go to a rural high school and buy meat from them cheaper than you would find anywhere else, because it's kind of like going to a, a beauty college and getting a haircut. You're getting a haircut from somebody who's not quite knowledgeable yet. It may not be exactly what you want, but it's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper. And so if you get a steak over at the high school, it might be a little thinner or thicker than you want, but it's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper. And so my mom was actually first in line. They just opened up over at this high school, and they just opened up. She was first in line.
That is so cool.
They have I think they have a special roast at Christmas time that the student I'm going to be interviewing, his mom is one of the moms that helps cook them, and they sell them at Christmas time. So
that is awesome. I love hearing that. That's going to be a great video too. Please, well, I'm subscribed, so I'm going to see it, and I'm going to share that on my channel for sure. That was one of my big worries after I interviewed my neighbor, who's the beef farmer.
That was a good one.
So cool, but I'm like, is the next generation of kids gonna pick up on this? Like, who's gonna want to work all these hours and do it all? But there's some people out there doing it. We need to encourage it and raise up those voices more, because what's gonna happen if nobody wants to do it and it's just factory farm meat going forward with? I can't even imagine.
Exactly. And these kids, they are so sweet and so smart. I really can't wait to interview them. And one is I think he's 15. He's a junior in high school. And the other one is his older brother. He's in college and he's already gone through that program. And they're just a couple of real sweet little cowboys that they are the next generation. And I hope there's thousands of them just like them. That are there that are going to be able to supply us with the right kind of beef and pork and everything.
I'm so happy you're doing a video on that. It's going to be so interesting. It's so important. And that's something too, like I did the one with my neighbor, and now I'm hoping to do another one with, I don't know if you've followed Dr. Anthony Chafee, but he had that woman, Maggie. She's 82. Did you see that one, Diane?
I did not see that one.
I'll have to send it to you. She's 82 and she looks like she's 40, and she's been doing carnivore for 60 years or something like that. She's just thriving, but she also, like my neighbor and like the kids you're going to be interviewing, she's a rancher and a farmer, and she raises beef. At 82 years old, she's jumping on horses and she's fixing fences from sun up to sundown. So I'm hoping to showcase, like initially in the Carnivore Diet documentary, it's going to be following real examples of people over a year. Well, we're still doing that, but then it's like, what do we do? Where do we get our meat from? And why is this important? That's why after I did my neighbor, I'm like, we got to dig into this more. So I'm looking forward to seeing the video you do on that for sure.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking with them and learning more about this program, because I didn't know about it until like a couple of weeks ago. And as soon as I heard about this program that they're doing, I immediately got in contact with their mom, because their mom actually is a friend of mine, and she gave my youngest son some horse riding lessons. And so I was like, Kathy, hi, can I talk to your kids? And so we'll be doing that on Saturday, going out to their place.
Oh, that's fun. That was one of the most fun I've had doing a video too, because I was like, oh, I'm going to a farm and I'm going to follow this guy around. It was so interesting. And I'm like, I only eat meat now. So, but there's so much that goes into that too. You're thinking, oh, they're raising cows. How hard could it be? The farmer guy, my friend Aaron, he was like, you got to be like a businessman, you got to be a farmer, you got to be like a scientist, you got to know the weather, you got to be like a geneticist, because there's a lot of genetics that go into the different cows they're raising. And it's like, it's insane. And then you got to work nonstop for almost no money whatsoever, just barely scraping by. So it's sure is something. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I think we got through all the questions. Hey, Bill just jumped on. Hey, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Awesome.
This is
Bill,
Julius.
Daisy's got some competition here, Bill. Pretty cute cat. I don't know.
Julius, he's not that interesting.
Well, Diane, this has been a lot of fun. I mean, your story is so inspirational, but I've really enjoyed talking to you. Every time I meet a new carnivore, I say the same thing. It's always true. I end up becoming friends with them. So I'm here for you if you ever need anything. I'm happy to shout out your YouTube channel. I love what you're doing, and I will definitely send you an invite for the 24-hour live stream. Get you up to 1,000 subscribers and get you that new camera. Your husband's watching now, right? He's got to ready. We're gonna get there. So.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that day. I'll even document it.
Yeah. So everyone follow Diane Elizabeth at YouTube. I got the link in the description below. Subscribe. This carnivore community is amazing. Reach out to her if you got any advice, tips, tricks, inspiration, things like that. And is there anything else you wanted to shout out before? We didn't really talk too much about your candle company. Or anything.
That's really something that I'm experimenting with right now. I'm just experimenting different waxes and wicks and fragrance oils versus essential oils, and all that different stuff. So it's going to be probably another year or so before I start actually producing stuff. Right now, it's just in the experimental stage. It's just something that I one day hope to do.
Nice.
Especially with my kids.
Right. Hey, that'll be fun to see on YouTube too. Maybe.
Yeah.
I just say maybe because sometimes when you do something like that, it's enough work on its own without also videoing it for yourself. But it'll be fun for us to watch if you decide to do it. So.
Well, I'm sure I will be, especially if I have more followers to keep up with. Then yeah, that would encourage me to get out there with the camera more often.
Yeah, for sure. Someone in the comments just said you just hit 170, so it's going up.
Hey, nice.
It's going up. This is live now, but it'll stay on the channel. So anyone watching this later, go subscribe. The link is in the description below. And yeah, you're just great, Diane. I'm going to be thinking about you, praying for you, and I'm here for you if you need anything. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.